The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Wonders they say shall never cease to happen in Africa. What an amazing day for us again in Africa. When the world is moving forward trying to learn, Africa is still repeating the same mistakes. They say when a man who was chased out of his neighbor's house suddenly knocks on your door with 800 soldiers, he is not coming for tea. He is coming for territory. While the world is busy looking at the fire in the Middle East, a new fire has just been lit in East Africa. Today, March 15, 2026, the receipts are undeniable. 3 French warships have just docked at the port of Mombasa. They didn't come empty. Over 800 French military personnel have just stepped onto Kenyan soil. Africa, wake up. The same France that was kicked out of the Sahel has just found a new master in Nairobi to give him a base. Listen to the history. President William Ruto and Emmanuel Macron have just ratified a landmark defense accord. They call it cooperation, but look at the fine print. The French amphibious assault ship Dixmont is sitting in our waters right now. It's about the Génie d'Arc 2026 mission. A mission that France says is for training, but we know it's for power projection. This pact gives French soldiers special privileges and limited legal immunity. If a French soldier commits a crime in Mombasa, he doesn't answer to our judges, he answers to Paris.
800 French soldiers have just arrived in Kenya, not in a French-speaking country, not in one of France's former colonies in West Africa. In Kenya, 3 French warships have docked at the port of Mombasa, and 800 French military personnel have stepped onto Kenyan soil, and a defense cooperation agreement is currently sitting before the National Assembly that could give those French soldiers something close to diplomatic immunity while they operate in Kenya. But that is only the first half of this story, because at the same time, at the exact same time that French boots are landing in Mombasa, Kenya is preparing to host the Africa-France Summit right in Nairobi. The very event that used to be held only in Paris or in Francophone capitals is now being deliberately moved to English-speaking Kenya, the first time ever outside France or its traditional backyard. Emmanuel Macron himself is coming. William Ruto is rolling out the red carpet. They shook hands at the UN General Assembly and announced it like it was a victory. But why Kenya?
Kenya is lending herself as one of the new Neocolonial agent satellite client countries. And it's something that we ought to condemn. And I hope that others will raise their voices and tell the current administration that we must not allow ourselves to be twisted around the fingers of one of the worst neocolonial powers ever, the French, who bewitched us. That you can ask the former slave master. You are former slave. You are asking the former slave master, tell me how to be free. Is it in the former slave master's interest that you are free? No. They are tying you down, this time with invisible chains. All those things that they are saying they are going to discuss, they have been discussed at the UN level. They have been discussed. They were discussed in Rio. They were discussed in Kyoto. They were discussed in Paris. They have been discussed everywhere. The Africans have discussed them. What are the French going to tell us that is new? Nothing, except to say we have found yet another client state which will dominate and exploit and strip to the bone. What is wrong with us? That we cannot see the obvious. We cannot see that this is the second scramble for Africa, and is an economic scramble for our resources and even our labor. We must wake up. If SADC did so, if ECOWAS did so, if IGAD did so, if COMESA did so, and we traded among ourselves with a population of 1.4 billion, who do we need? We will be so strong that when the world is negotiating with us, they will negotiate with us as Africa. Have we recognized this? Yes, there is no shortage of declaration and recognition that Africa's strength only requires our unity in action. Otherwise, what is happening, and France is just one of them, each former colonizers assembles Africans.
Let us start with the hard facts, because the facts alone are extraordinary. Here is what we know. At least 800 personnel from the French army have arrived in Kenya aboard 3 French warships that docked at the port of Mombasa. The French ambassador to Kenya, Arnaud Suquet, has confirmed this publicly. A spokesperson for the French embassy, a man named Romain Boyer, has given us the official explanation. He says, and I want you to listen to his exact words carefully, the mission of the French group deployed here is a training mission for cadets. We have some young officers that will finish their training at sea and then join the first unit. Sounds harmless, right? Young officers. Training, sea exercises, almost routine, but then Boyer says something else. He says, it is an operational mission. We are training and delivering an operation at sea. He adds that it is all about partnership, especially with the rise in war and conflict in the Indian Ocean. An operational mission, not a classroom, not a simulation, a real live operational French military mission being conducted from Kenyan soil using Kenyan waters in partnership with Kenyan naval forces. And there is more, because sitting in the National Assembly of Kenya right now is a proposed defense cooperation agreement between Kenya and France. This agreement, if it passes, if it is ratified, will establish a formal legal framework under which French military personnel can operate in Kenya. And not just operate, under this proposed deal, French soldiers on Kenyan soil could receive diplomatic-style privileges, legal protections, immunity essentially. The agreement would also cover what it calls logistical support, legal frameworks and operational guidelines for French forces in this country. We are talking about a situation where a foreign military, a European military, could be operating on Kenyan territory with something close to diplomatic immunity, where French soldiers could potentially be subject to French law rather than Kenyan law while they are here, where Kenya, a sovereign nation, would be providing legal shelter and operational cover for the armed forces of a country that, let us be absolutely direct, has one of the most brutal and exploitative relationships with the African continent in modern history. This is not a training program. This is the architecture of a long-term foreign military presence being constructed quietly, methodically, and with the full cooperation of the Kenyan government. And the Kenyan public deserves to know about it. Now let us talk about the elephant in the room. Why is France even here? Because this is the question that changes everything. This is the question that transforms this story from a defense and diplomacy story into a Pan-African story, into a story about the future of this continent, into a story that connects Nairobi to Ouagadougou, to Bamako, to Niamey, to every corner of Africa where ordinary people have been fighting to take back control of their own lives and their own land. Why is France in Kenya? The honest answer, the answer that France will never give you, but that the facts make absolutely undeniable, is that France is in Kenya because it has nowhere else to go. Think about what has happened in West Africa over the last 3 years. In August 2020, Mali's military removed a president who was seen as a French puppet, and within 2 years had told France to remove its forces and close its embassy. In January 2022, Burkina Faso underwent a military transition that would eventually lead to the complete expulsion of French forces. In July 2023, Niger's military government revoked the agreements that allowed France to station thousands of troops in the country and gave the French ambassador 48 hours to leave. 3 countries, 3 expulsions, 3 public humiliating unambiguous rejections of French military presence in rapid succession. And it did not stop there. Senegal, one of the most stable and historically pro-French countries on the continent, elected a new president in 2024 on a platform that included explicitly reviewing and renegotiating its relationship with France. Chad, which hosts France's largest military base in Africa, is experiencing increasing internal pressure to do the same. The entire architecture of what is known as France-Afrique, the network of French military bases, political influence operations, intelligence assets, and economic interest that France has used to control its former colonies for 60 years, is coming apart at the seams. France, to put it bluntly, is losing Africa, and it knows it. Emmanuel Macron knows it, the French foreign policy establishment knows it, and in that context, Kenya, a non-francophone country, a country without the same direct historical trauma with France, a country led by a president who has shown himself willing to be a partner to Western powers, Kenya looks like a lifeline. France is not coming to Kenya to help Kenya. France is coming to Kenya to save itself. Let us talk about Captain Ibrahim Traoré, because his story is central to this moment. If you want to understand what France is running from, you must understand what Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso did and what he revealed. Traoré came to power in September 2022, a young military officer in a country that had been consumed by terrorist violence for years, and almost immediately he started saying things that no African leader in a former French colony had ever said openly. He stood before his people and told them the truth that France had spent decades trying to hide. France had been in Burkina Faso all that time. French soldiers, French intelligence, French operatives, all present, all active, all supposedly helping to fight terrorism. And in all that time, terrorism in Burkina Faso had not diminished. It had spread. It had gotten worse. Entire regions of the country stretching across the Sahel had been overrun. Villages were being attacked and burned.
Kenya is moving away from the UK and US only to jump into the arms of the most rejected colonizer in Africa. And why do we believe so much in these people when they themselves cannot even defend themselves? We've seen what is happening to the bases of the United States of America. Look at the screen. On the deck of that French warship, the masters handed out the prizes. Kenya's Chief of Defense Forces, General Charles Kaharari, was conferred with Legion of Honor, the highest French award. Why are they giving medals to our generals while 800 troops land in our port? When the hunter starts giving medals to the forest guard, the trees should start worrying about their roots. This is the price of our sovereignty, a place of ribbon for a whole coastline. These are the leaders who say they are generous, and Africans are so much happy when these people award us with certain things. The French say they are here for maritime security and training, but they were just humiliated in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. They are desperate for a new foothold, and they have chosen Kenyans, their Anglophone breed, to stay relevant in Africa. The master in Paris is not looking to protect Kenya. He is looking to protect French interests in the Indian Ocean while the US-Iran war bends. Africa, wake up. Don't let the strategic partnership blind you to the boots on the ground. Our leaders are just not learning. We are not ready to learn. Because these same people, even the United States of America that was boasting of their bases, the strength of their military, what is happening to them in the Middle East? 27 of them were set on fire. Their personnel have to run according to reports. Some of them decided to be in civilian attire so they wouldn't be noticed. They have to evacuate their military, looking for places for them to hide. When they even went to the hotel thinking it would be a shelter, they didn't. And still Africa will still sit here and believe that these are the people that will come with their training. With all the training, what didn't Trump tell the world? When the Strait of Hormuz was blocked by Iran, these were the same people who said the United States has the most powerful navy, and for that matter, that strait, people should go. What is happening? Trump himself is asking for allies to come and help him open it. And with all these things that are happening, we are not learning and we are not seeing. We are still bringing French bases into Africa. The African leader is still not thinking of how we will build ourselves. We still believe in the colonizer who can defend himself. Professor Lumumba told us, we need to unite and kick against these things. We don't want foreign bases on our continent because we have realized that foreign bases aren't a shield. They say the borrowed garment can never keep you warm. So if our leaders believe that the garments of these people is what will keep us warm, I think by now they should be learning from what is happening in the Middle East. To the point that now people are trying to push the war on other people so they can run away. The Arabs are smarter, refusing. We don't want war. We don't want problem. We just want to be at peace. This is not the time we need to be inviting more foreign bases into the continent. This is the time I think our leaders would have sat down to be thinking of how to restructure and empower us. If they were good, why are they sacking them away from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso? They claim that now they are going to be having whatever summit. And we know this summit only happened in Paris and the Francophone nations. But an English nation like Kenya is now going to be hosting this. And African Union is quiet. For how long will we continue to salute these people? For how long will we learn from Iran? Iran was under sanction and all of you in Africa were enjoying. Iran has bold himself to the point that even the most powerful nations just can't withstand Iran. I thought we would have been learning to empower ourselves, but we are still repeating the old mistakes. Like Professor Lumumba is calling, if we the youth don't rise up, Africa, maybe what is happening in the Middle East, somebody will say, will be communists. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, East Africa, and in Kenya.